This evening, Chicago's own award-winning Hall of Fame coach, the legendary Ray Meyer, with the ins and outs of big-time college basketball. Why has a national title been so elusive for the Blue Demons? Can they rebound after a devastating defeat in the NCAA tournament? And what's the coach's lifestyle like off the basketball court? We'll get the finer points as I go one-on-one with Coach Ray Meyer off the record. Well, our guest this evening is certainly no stranger to any of us in the Chicago area, and he's growing more and more familiar to people, basketball fans all around the United States. Coach Ray Meyer. We're down in the basement. This is the Myers Pub, huh?
Oh, yes, Rob, this is the reason we bought the house. We like the pub area.
You spend enough time down here, Coach?
I'd like to spend more time. I'm not home that much, but when we do, we have the family over it. They really enjoy it.
Your home is filled with basketball memorabilia, mostly Ray Meyer memorabilia. Can we take a look at some of it?
Surely, Rob.
Move on to the old pub area. I've noticed more trophies than you can count, more awards, more basketballs, and a low ceiling, by the way. How do you get a recruit down here to play a little pool?
Well, Rob, if he doesn't have to stoop to come down here, we don't want him.
It's a 7-foot ceiling, I noticed. Let's talk about a little bit about success, because we've been able to watch you, of course, a lot of DePaul fans have watched for 39 years, but in the last couple of years, you start getting those winning teams, you start getting those #1 rankings, and all of a sudden you, Ray Meyer, have become a celebrity yourself. Are people jumping on the bandwagon, and are people taking advantage of you a little bit every now and then, Ray?
Rob, I don't know if they're taking advantage. You know, they are, wherever I go, I should put it, then they recognize me. Even getting off the plane in New York, people will say, "Hi, Coach," or if I go into a restaurant, they'll say the same thing. On the plane, the stewardess will come up and say, "I see you on TV all the time," or something of that nature. And, of course, my wife loves it. I thought that it's a three-ring circus, but at times you get a little tired of it, but you have to consider the alternative. There were many years I could walk by down Michigan Avenue and nobody would say hello to you.
Ray Meyer has learned success has its demands, as the coach's increased popularity made him more or less effective.
Every time I would go to Coach's office, he would always say, you know, I got to go do this interview, or I got to go to this banquet or something. You know, he was in great demand, and he was so nice, he never turned down anything.
I would stop in and talk to him and make sure I got some time in with him. But being, you know, I'm a Christian, and I find that there's just relief in being saved, and, you know, and just knowing the Lord. And when I need somebody to talk to, I talk to the Lord.
I think Coach just got a little bit carried away with the publicity, trying to be everything to everybody. And by doing that, it cut him short on a little bit of the basics, as I put it. And we've had a long discussion since the season, and I kind of aired my disagreements with why things went. And I'm mad in a sense, but I know he just did it because he's a good person.
People are out there, they call from all over the country for interviews, tapes, and the like. And I've been on more talk shows, not in the Chicago area, all over the country. And this takes up a lot of your time. And previously, I devoted that time to basketball. Joey and I met every morning for an hour or two on basketball, and we didn't meet once after the season started last year. And it's a little disconcerting, and I know Joey was upset about it, and I think we'll change that. Bobby Knight, we talked to him. He's going to be my PR man next year.
Bobby Knight's going to be your PR man?
That's right.
I don't know. You may want to look around for a second opinion. But isn't this part of the whole package? I mean, you get successful. You want the program to get built up. You want recognition because that's what it's all about. And then it pulls you away, though, from your coaching job. How do you handle it? What do you do?
Well, Rob, we do the best you can. You must understand that those people were writing us and talking about us on the radio and TV for years when we weren't winning.
Mm-hmm.
Now they come out and they have a job to do, and I'd like to cooperate in every way I can. But I'm going to hold an hour or two each morning for basketball, and no one's going to interfere with that.
Do the players ever take advantage of the fact that you are, of your good nature? Because you are a nice guy, as you admitted yourself, and you don't say no to very many people.
I say no to the players occasionally. That's true. A lot of times I felt a little guilty. A lot of the players would like to come in, and I'd be busy in there with talking to somebody, and I felt a little disappointed that I didn't have more time to spend with the players. But the players understood, and they went along with me all the way, and I think that we did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look back, and what's the sense of being, with this hindsight, we had a great year. Sure, we lost in the playoffs, very disappointing, but we were successful all year. Why change? I was meeting these people in the morning, talking to them, and everything was going all right. Now when suddenly something goes wrong, then you're looking for all kinds of crutches and excuses. There are no excuses. We just lost, and we'll try to do better in the years to come.
All right, Ray, you're a heck of a nice guy. Can a nice guy win the NC2A?
Oh, sure, Rob. I don't mean we can win it. There are a lot of nice people who have won the NCAA, and it's just a matter of getting the right combinations and playing well at the right time. I think the last 2 years we've gone into the tournament, and as I review the games, I believe we're going into those tournaments playing not to lose. We're too tentative. When Mark only takes 6 shots in a ball game, I know we're tentative. I know we're not playing the type of ball we're capable of playing. But Mark didn't lose the game. We all lost it. Players, coaches, everybody there. And give credit to St. Joe. They played well. They played the type of game that caused us a lot of problems.
Let's talk about Mark for a moment.
Rob, we've had a superstar for 3 years, and we have adjusted to him quite a bit in our program. Mark has done an exceptionally fine job for us. He'll be missed. But we're going to have a team, and it'll be a very good ball club. People have got to realize that Mark, in the last 2 years, has fouled out of 3 games. And in the 3 games, we were tied or behind, and we won. And 2 of them were on the road. So these boys we have playing, they have to follow Mark's lead. And I think they'll be a lot better ball players when he is gone. Not that I want to see him go, but they'll just become naturally better ball players because they won't be looking to Mark and won't be following his leads.
Coach, excuse me, we've got to break away for a commercial. Just for a moment, we'll be back with more of Coach Ray Meyer, Off the Record. Born December 18th, 1913, raised on Chicago's West Side, Ray Meyer was always in love with the world of sports. Except for a brief time when Meyer contemplated a life as a priest, his fascination with athletics has been a total part of his life. As a member of the 1932 St. Patrick Academy basketball team and an outstanding player with Notre Dame, Meyer's world has been filled with the hoopla and excitement of basketball. His teams and coaching success have added together to make him a living legend. Does the legendary Mr. Nice Guy of college basketball ever worry that he'll get too close to his players?
I do, Rob. I always feel that I want to be close to him, but I still want that separation between player and coach.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never allow myself to be one of them.
You don't? You have to work on it, or...?
No, it's just a matter of the way we go. I want to be close to him, but I don't associate with him. I don't hang with him in any way on the road or after the games. I think if you get overly friendly, then they don't pay much attention to you. I like to keep a little distance in there.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to respect me and respect my judgment.
Now, can you go to the other extreme? And we look at somebody, you may say, like a Bobby Knight, who has got an incredible reputation for being a tough guy, and yet he wins.
Well, Bobby Knight's a great coach. When I was in college, our coach used to tell us that when I started coaching, he told me that they'll either play for you because they hate you or they'll play for you because they love you. There's no in between. And that's the way I've always been, and I like to treat the players as I would like to be treated.
Mm-hmm. Do you handle most of your talk-throughs in practice, or do you have that big firebrand speech just before you go out in the court at nights for the games?
Not too many firebrand speeches anymore. I think if you did that, the day of going out and win one for the Gipper, that's all over. The players are too intelligent. If you started to rant and rave at them...
They wouldn't buy it, huh?
No, they'd look at you and say, that guy's crazy. They wouldn't buy it. But I think the best pep talk I ever gave in my life was at the Chicago Stadium many years ago. We had lost to Notre Dame by a pretty big score down there, and we were back at the stadium. And I saw our boys were all tense, and I left the locker room, and they were very, very quiet, and I knew they were ready. So I just walked in there, and I looked at them, and I said, I'm not going to say much tonight. I just want you to remember one thing. You're the boys that Notre Dame didn't want. Just locked up.
Did it work?
We won by 16.
Let's talk a little bit about recruiting, which is the backbone of your business, and that's the business of college basketball. How competitive is it getting now?
Well, Rob, you must understand that it's more competitive each year. See, as basketball has gotten bigger every year, you see more beautiful gymnasiums all over the country, civic auditoriums. They're all seating 15, 17, 20,000. Well, they have to fill it in order to make the program pay. How do you fill it? You have to have a winning team. How do you get the winning team? You have to recruit it. Mm-hmm. And that's why recruiting is so important today. But there are not many coaches lasting today because of the pressure of recruiting and winning. Mm-hmm. If they don't win, they're out. Maybe sometimes they ought to start thinking of judging coaches maybe 5 or 10 years after the players are graduated as to find out what they're doing. Everything we do is on winning and losing.
How long are you going to stay at DePaul? You've been here 39 years, which to stay at one job that long, first of all, you're about 1% of the people in Chicago. How can you be satisfied for 39 years still staying at one spot?
Well, I said I never liked change. My wife is the one that'll tell you that. I don't like to move. I don't like anything. I like everything to be the same way. Mm-hmm. And
how much longer do you think you want to stay?
I go from year to year. It's getting closer to the end now, a year or two more, and that's it. I don't fully believe that I'll go much longer. I think Joey is ready. He's a very fine young man, and he's ready to coach. It would be sort of a bad taste for me to keep waiting forever. No one's indispensable. I've learned that so often. When boys play for you, after 4 years they graduate and they leave, and you say, oh boy, you're never going to be the same way again because you're not going to replace them. You always have somebody who replaces them.
Every coach always has an ambitious, eager assistant waiting in the wings for their big opportunity. Coach Meyer is faced with a unique situation. His assistant is also his son, Joey.
I like to be honest, and I like to answer questions. So if I ask, are you impatient? I say, yeah, I'm impatient. I don't mean that in a bad sense. I want to be the next head coach at DePaul tomorrow. But I think coach should coach as long as he feels he is capable. If that's 4 or 5 years, I have to wait my turn. And it seems like when I say I'm anxious and I want to be the coach, it seems like I'm trying to push him out. So it does put a little pressure on me, and I'm not real happy with that type of situation, but it's something that father-son relationship, those things crop up, and I just have to cope with it.
Would you want to stick around basketball, or would you want to just say, look, that's it, I give up, stop, go to Florida, move, buy a nice condo?
Never leave Chicago. My roots are here. I'll never move out and go to Florida, California. I'll always be in Chicago. I love it here. I'd love to be connected in basketball in some way. I don't know what way, but I could not be idle. That retirement scares me because, as my Marge says to me, if you ever quit, we'll be divorced in 3 weeks because I couldn't have you around the home. I'm always tearing something apart or putting back together. And if anything goes wrong in the house, she doesn't tell me anymore. She calls a repairman or somebody, and she doesn't want me to touch it.
What's the chances of Joey hiring you as an assistant coach?
Well, I think Joey has to go on. Now, Joey's got a good head, and we don't always agree, which is wonderful. You don't want yes men around you.
Yeah.
I don't think Joey would.
How often is it that you don't agree?
Oh, once a day. No, he doesn't say yes. And if he thinks I'm doing something wrong, he tells me, which is a good check on me.
Game time is when he really disagrees with me, and we really get in some heated arguments. Other times, I think he kind of listens to me and shakes his head, and he'll shut up sooner or later, and I can do what I want. But in games, we get some heated discussions.
That's what the son thinks about the current coach, his dad. But how does Ray feel Joey will deal with pressure?
He can deal with it. That's part of the job. We told him before that when you get into coaching, you're going to be subjected to a lot of pressures. And probably the greatest pressure comes from within yourself. Because when you lose, you start to blame yourself. I've done that ever since I've been coaching. I always think that I should have done something different, or we should have prepared a little differently. I very seldom I don't think I ever blame the boys for that. I think I didn't have them ready in that to play, or they just didn't play up to their capabilities, and I should have probably had them more hopped up to play, more emotionally ready. So you're never really satisfied. And in coaching, you always learn more from losing than you do from winning, because when you lose, you want to know why. When you win, you savor the victory, and you're happy, and you don't think about the game that much. You only think about the good things.
We've got to break away for a commercial. When we come back, let's go upstairs, and joining us in just a moment is going to be the coach of the Myers boys when they were growing up, the basketball coach.
All right, I take my orders from her.
Yeah, and it wasn't him. This is Coach Ray Meyer. We'll be right back on Off the Record. Stay with us. Joining us now in the family room in the den at the Meyer house, Marge Meyer. How are you, Marge? Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Well, we were just saying, before we went to commercial, that yes, indeed, you've got a basketball past of your own, and there are, what, 6 Meyer kids?
Right.
All of them learned their basketball from who?
From their mother.
Mm-hmm. Never, the coach never got in there, never taught them a layup.
Never did.
Didn't you and Ray meet years ago when you were playing basketball?
That's right, yes. Down at Old St. Agatha's. And I was asked, he was coaching a team there, and some girl asked me to come over and play, and that's how I met the love of my life.
Was it love at first sight?
It really was.
Yeah? For you too, Coach?
I don't know about that. I'll take a rain check on that answer. But I'll tell you, coaching her was wonderful. That's the only time in my life I ever gave her orders.
We have obtained a very rare photo from the National Archives before you were married to Ray, and it's Marge Delaney, the then Marge Delaney, taking down stats with Captain Ray Meyer playing for the LaSalle Hotel Cavaliers. Did you used to follow Ray a lot when he was still playing before you were married?
Oh, surely. Yes. I used to go to Notre Dame when he was down at Notre Dame. This was after he was out of school, but when he was at Notre Dame, I made all the games down there, too.
What's the basketball season like for you?
Oh, it's exciting. I look forward to it.
I mean, are there special things you've got to get ready for Ray every day when he comes home, or does he run home for a quick sandwich before he goes over to the Horizon?
Oh, no, I go with him to the Horizon, and I lay out his clothes, of course, and get him ready, and we carry his clothes to the Horizon. But we have certain little things that we do. We're a little superstitious.
Are you really? What are some of your big superstitions?
Should I tell them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you know, we have rooms over at the Horizon before the games, and Ray and I go over there, and he carries a suit and changes over there, and we go in the back way, and then he always walks to the front to get the key. But I have a key in my pocket, but I never tell him. That's superstition. I wouldn't give him that key because he always walks all the way up to the front, and I stand there and wait, and then he walks all the way back, and I have that key right in my pocket.
And this is the same every game?
The same every game.
And if you broke this down, you think,
I'm
what would
sure
happen?
we'd lose.
Coach was saying, when we asked him a little earlier, if he ever retired, you know, what would he do? And he said the one thing that you said, that you wouldn't want him around the house.
That's for sure.
What are you going to do with him eventually? Because one of these days he'll have to
I'm
give
going
it
to
up.
ship him out. No, I don't know. I just hope that he gets into something that will keep him occupied because really, he's right when he tells you that when things go wrong here, anything repairs, I never let him know. I call the repairman.
Ray and I spent a lot of time talking about the pressures in being number one as opposed to being number two and the requests on his time. Have you seen any change in Ray the last few years?
He's not the same person. He said he was, but
Yeah,
he
he
isn't
said
the
he
same
was.
person. He has changed.
You don't buy that. How has he changed?
Oh, he's quick. He's quicker tempered than he was. He jumps at you now that he didn't do years ago. And it's pressures. I'm sure that's what it is. And I'll go along with that. Now that the season's over, I won't.
Get the rolling pin now. See, Ray, now there she called your bluff. You tried to avoid that earlier on in the program. We got
Wait till I get her later.
He is a little shorter tempered, though. You think?
Definitely.
Do you have to treat him differently?
Well, I don't know if I treat him any differently. I mean, I think I give a little more than I would ordinarily, yes. Because I realize, that he does have a lot of pressure.
Marge, just one last question. Prediction for DePaul for next season.
Well, I always feel that I just like to make the Final Four. If we get to the Final Four, I mean, I'm very happy. I think we'll do well if we get there. The last 2 years, we haven't gotten there. But that's what I'll say. We'll go to the Final Four.
You feel it in your bones.
Oh, I feel we will, definitely.
Look at that look.
He does, too.
Marge and Ray Meyer, thank you very much. We enjoyed our conversation. Coach, best of luck to you and in preparation for the 81-82 season. Ray and Marge Meyer this evening, Off the Record. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again next week. Good night.